Mexican churros and chocolate sauce actually need no introduction. But for the uninitiated, what are churros? Churros are basically a classic choux pastry in a way which is deep fried. Now this makes it extremely unusual because that itself creates another fantastic dessert. So at one end you have chocolate eclairs or choux pastries, at another end you have a fried dessert, churros. Now how do you make that? Before anything, you need to heat water, add in the flour, add in few more ingredients and make like a warm dough. That dough eventually becomes the starting point for a choux pastry. We're not going to that level. We're stopping there and we're frying it. But first, let's heat water and make the dough. Now, as a dummer's recipe, what you need to do is, it's actually equal measures of refined flour and water. Now this is the cup measure or the glass measure. So in case you're taking a glass full of flour, you need to take a glass full of water. By measure, 200 grams of flour, 300 ml of water. Remember this as a thumb rule. To this, I'm going to add in a pinch of salt. Now this in a lot of ways brings out the taste and flavor in this recipe. To add to that taste and flavor, I'm going to add in salted butter. Now this also has salt, remember that. And along with this, what I add personally is some sugar because I like the churros sometimes just by themselves. Otherwise, you can dip it in a hazelnut dip or a chocolate dip or some jam or some preserve. But what I like to do sometimes is just eat the churros nice and piping hot. Add in some grain sugar and no flavor really. I know a lot of people who at this stage also like adding in like a pinch of cinnamon. I personally am not a huge fan of cinnamon in this recipe, but when churros are fried and when they're sitting in a platter or a plate, you also need to sprinkle generously some castor sugar and some cinnamon powder. But I am not doing that. I'm going to create a chocolate sauce for you. So, getting the math right. Need to stir this once, twice. And once the water comes to a roll boil, I'm going to add in flour, which is sieved and ready. Let's mix all of this. Allow the refined flour to absorb all the water, to mix it like so. And then we're going to cook this for like a minute or so more. Once this entire ball of dough comes together, literally like so, we're going to transfer it in the bowl, which earlier had refined flour. This has to literally fall down like a clump. At this stage, it looks somewhat like mashed potatoes. At this stage, while it is still warm, I'm going to add in some oil. Say around 2 tablespoons of oil. This already has the butter from the earlier use. I'm also going to dab that and put that to use. Since the dough is warm, the butter will also melt. Just bring all of this together like so. You don't have to really mix it and ensure that all the oil gets absorbed in this dough. It's not going to happen at this stage, at least manually. The churros dough is done and ready. I'm keeping it aside precisely for 2 minutes. Now I'm going to use those 2 minutes to quickly rustle up a chocolate sauce. On flame, in a fresh pan, some milk. I'm going to flavor the milk with just a touch of chili powder. Here comes in the Mexican influence. And along with this, a teeny weeny pinch of cinnamon powder. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this, but I know my sister is. A quick swirl. And once this barely starts simmering, which is not going to take more than 30 seconds, I'm going to add in chopped chocolate. At this stage, you know what's going to happen? The milk is beginning to heat. It's starting to envelope the chocolate. It's going to build up the heat, warm it up, and bring it down and melt it. How nice. And that's why you get the most amazing chocolate sauce, scented with a touch of chili and cinnamon. And here we are with the most tempting dark chocolate sauce. Let's keep this aside. Bring the oil right here where you are comfortable in terms of frying. Once the oil heats up, we transfer this in a piping bag and of course start piping. But before that, what have I done here? I've taken a plastic piping bag. In fact, I've taken 2 of them because with the pressure, I do not want this to start tearing or start bulging out. And right here, I have a star nozzle. So star being fried. Let's do that. You check the pressure is correct. Let's start frying these. All you need to do is start pressing like so. The length is correct. We're going to cut this off. Simple. I know my sister is also watching this and this line is specially for her. Just because you've given me this, all this mehnat, all this hard work is happening only for you. Raksha Bandhan, you see. The churros are fried and ready. Let's transfer these on an absorbent tissue paper. Because of course, it's a fried dessert, but it should not feel fried. Allow it to settle down slightly, 30-40 seconds. Dip it in chocolate sauce. You want to dredge it in some castor sugar with some cinnamon. Choice is completely yours. How I like it, I like dipping it in chocolate sauce and just rustling it all up. I know my sister is watching this. Just because you gifted me a kurta, I'm gifting this back to you. And let's begin the serving process. Now, how do you serve this? It's extremely simple. Now, there are 3 ways in which churros can be served. Of course, I'm not getting into creating like a cone or creating like a basket or a bucket and things like that. How do you serve this? Now, at this stage, while the churros are still slightly warm, you can sprinkle some castor sugar with a touch of cinnamon powder. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is taking like a whole platter full of churros and drizzling chocolate sauce. Step number 2. Now, step number 3 is very simple. You serve this separately, sprinkled with some cinnamon sugar, and then you give like a little bowl of chocolate sauce. Now, it could be a dark chocolate sauce, a milk chocolate sauce, a white chocolate sauce, or anything for that matter. What we've made today is a dark chocolate sauce. Is to pick all these fried little churros and just place it. Simple. Let it look nice and rustic, because that's how churros look best. One for me. Before my sister eats, let me quickly grab one. And celebrate Raksha Bandhan in super style. Try this for your family, for your friends, but more importantly, make this for your siblings. Happy Raksha Bandhan. Sister, I'm seeing you. Bye for now.